the constant companion that is the driving force in competitive angling. The pressure of high-stakes money, the pressure to develop a winning strategy against the strongest competitive field of anglers ever assembled. Pressure to adapt to nature's ever-changing playing field from oppressive heat to bone-chilling cold. Lake of the Ozarks. Who will stand up to the pressure this massive body of water can unleash? Who will unlock its big bass secrets?
Woo, doggies.
Yes!
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes!
Look at that bad boy.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah!
Lauren took it. $500,000 richer.
Lake of the Ozarks, one of the oldest and most acclaimed reservoirs in North America. Popular for many reasons, but mainly for the quality and quantity of bass that reside here. Lake of the Ozarks has hundreds of miles of shoreline, thousands of docks, sharp bluffs, sunken brush piles, extended main lake points, and even some vegetation. With countless options and little time to explore them, only the pros who compete flawlessly will rise to the top.
Hello everyone, I'm Keith Leibowitz along with Chris Jones. Welcome to the fourth stop on the Walmart FLW Series. We are in Osage Beach, Missouri, and behind us, beautiful Lake of the Ozarks, and the top bass fishermen in the world have assembled here vying for big-time bucks.
Absolutely, Keith. $900,000 purse on the line this week here, $100,000 first place prize, and more importantly than that, the top 30 pros will qualify for an entry-free $2 million Forrest Wood Cup, the largest tournament in the history of the sport.
And
Close to the takeoff site, some anglers running 80 miles. They're catching them shallow, catching them deep. We caught up with these pros to see how they were targeting their fish.
This lake is so big, you almost have to make a decision of where you're going to practice, especially with the limited practice, 4 days which we have here. The lake's almost close to 100 miles long, so you can't cover it all.
I've really only thrown 2 baits all week. I've thrown a crankbait and a spinnerbait, and I'm covering water. That's what I really like to do. I like to fish fast and power fish. The great thing about this lake is it's so big. It's huge. It's got a lot of fish in it. So anyway, it makes it nice for running a kind of a fast, aggressive fish pattern.
Me and Dad decided we weren't going to fish shallow. We were going to go find out how to catch them deeper. And so we spent the last 5 days on the water fishing solely deep and trying to figure out what they were doing. And we figured out where they're at on them points a little bit, and that's kind of the whole key to it,
Some of them are out on the tips of little points. Some of them are on the edge of breaks on the points. But if there's a ledge there, if there's some sort of ledge, if it makes a ledge like a bluff comes to a point and makes a little ledge off of the end of that point, that's perfect, if it's got a piece of brush there.
If I can find a brush pile on the end of a dock in 25 to 35 foot of water, I might get a bass, but most of them I'm catching are off rocks, and they're coming off steep points, and they're coming off little items that other people are missing. They're way down deep, and when I finally find something down there, I'll get a bite.
Chris, with the demands on the anglers out there, it is essential that they have their equipment in working order, especially their boats.
We caught up with Fujifilm pro Randy Blockett to see how he operates.
Hi folks, and welcome to my office, which is a Ranger Z20 Comanche bass boat. And this isn't your average weekend fishing boat. This is my personal tournament boat, and I've got it set up for extreme fishing conditions. Come on, I'll give you a tour. First up, we got the Minn Kota Maxim Pro 101. This thing is bulletproof. It allows me to get around objects real quietly, real efficiently. If I have to buzz across the cove, I'm over there in no time at all. I've got state-of-the-art electronics on this boat. Up front, I have the Lowrance X102 with the transducer mounted on the trolling motor. And this is my baby right here. This is the X26 Lowrance color unit, color sonar, color GPS. It's like having a topographical map in the boat with you. It's just an awesome unit. I usually keep about 10 or 12 rods in the Z20 storage here, and I like it because it's got the tube storage in it. It really keeps my rods from getting tangled up in rough water. It's a really neat feature. The storage behind the driver's seat, even more tackle. I've got skirt tie material, plastics. I even carry tackle in my cooler, so if you draw me in a tournament, you're going to have to bring your own ice and cooler. Very important part of the boat here, folks. This is the live wells. Ranger aerators keep my fish well oxygenated, keeps them in good condition if I have to make long runs in real rough water. And finally, we have the Yamaha 225 HPDI. This gets me where I want to go every time. I've got about 200-mile range with the 48-gallon tank in the Ranger. It gets me there at speeds of up to about 70 miles an hour. And I've got it mounted on a 10-inch hydraulic plate, which allows me to control the engine height in rough water or if I'm idling across long distances of real shallow water. So I hope you enjoyed the tour, and we'll see you on the lake.
Competitive bass fishing is a fast-paced, high-tech sport. These anglers are equipped with state-of-the-art instruments specifically designed for catching bass.
The FLW Touring Pros have arrived at an ideal time for fishing Lake of the Ozarks. With cooling water temperatures, the beautiful colors of fall, and big bass on the feed. Cold fronts are notorious for shutting fish off, but these are northern bass, accustomed to dramatic weather changes, and the frosty tingling of fall is one of the strongest cues for bass to bulk up before winter.
This is going to be one of the best events of the entire season, and here's a peek of what's in store. Hold on to your hats and don't miss all the action from Lake of the Ozarks when FLW Outdoors continues.
FLW Series here on Lake of the Ozarks. Keith Leibowitz along with Chris Jones, and this fishery is considered one of the best in the world. In fact, some of the top anglers reside here, including Guido and Dion Hibdon.
This is a classical southern reservoir, but not all bodies of water are created equal. Versatility and the ability to adapt are key. Now, the pre-practice period saw 90-degree temperatures, but the weather temperatures have changed. It's gotten cold, and on a deep, clear water reservoir, the colder it gets, the better the bite, and the fish have turned on, Keith.
Yeah, just like that.
I've been here before when it got cold like this during the fall. What happens is the big gizzard shad, the big shad that are, they're probably about that long, a lot of them 5, maybe 6, 7 inches long, bigger than normal, get right up on the bank, and those fish just basically have a feeding frenzy for probably a month. That's what happened that last time, and I think that's kind of what's starting to happen now.
Now, when you have weather like this, a lot of times you have to go by feel, and I've been catching my fish deep, and I had confidence in deep water, and that's what I stayed with, and the fish still bit even though the wind was howling out of the north and the temperature got down to 34 degrees. And so it really didn't affect me at all.
Lake of the Ozarks, a great bass lake. Boy, it's just full of these old big ones.
Now, this cool weather, though, changes things. And for the most part, it makes it better. And that's all fixing to take place right now. It seems like in the morning when I get started, they're really deep, And then as we wear on up to, noon, 1 o'clock, then they move up a little bit. They move up into that 10-foot water, 15-foot water.
But this cold weather, sunshine, fall, you can see the leaves are beautiful. This is the best time of year to fish. All those guys are going out in the woods hunting. And we're out there fishing, catching big ones. So all we need is some snow. I think a little snow would really turn the big ones on.
Days 1 and 2 brought a big drop in the air temperature, but that has not slowed things down. The action is cranking.
Yet it's the anglers able to pinpoint big largemouths that are going to win this tournament.
Of all of our FLW Series events this season, this has been the best big fish bite to date. Anglers are lugging big bags of Lake of the Ozarks bass to the scales, including numbers of 6- and 7-pound bass, and even one breaking the 8-pound mark by Yamaha Pro Kurt Lytle. At the top of the leaderboard are some big-time names, including Kellogg's Pro Dave Lefebvre, Evinrude Pro Larry Nixon, and of course, favorites Guido and Dion Hibdon. And it's Chevy Pro Dion Hibdon who has the heaviest weight with 37 pounds, 11 ounces to take the lead after day 2.
As this tournament is shaking out, catching a limit is not the problem. The trick to earning your ticket to fish on day 4 will be to find limits of big Lake of the Ozarks largemouths.
When we come back, we'll see who's got what it takes to rise to the top. It's the do-or-die day in the final round of full field competition. We'll see which pros have what it takes to make the cut and who will be crowned the $20,000 co-angler champion. Welcome back to day 3. It's the final day of full field competition. The last shot for those anglers lurking just outside the top 10 to make their push, and for those on the top of the field to hold their positions.
The cold morning and fog has everyone bundled up, but that has not stopped the bass from biting. In 4th place after day 2 is Ozarks Trail Pro Andy Morgan, who has been chasing bass on the insides of docks and experiences some intense action early.
Legendary Evinrude pro Larry Nixon, by contrast, is jigging deep bluffs. The action is hot, keeping both he and his co-angler busy.
The drop in water temperature does not have appeared to have cooled down the action in deeper water.
Day 2 leader Dion Hibdon is still holding strong, catching good numbers and good fish on his deep water jig bite. Dion and his father Guido are 2 of the most famous names in professional bass fishing. So what gives these 2 their edge? Part of the answer lies in their dedicated, loving support staff. Mom. We turn to the pages of FLW Outdoors magazine for an inside look at Stella Hibdon, the matriarch of the Hibdon legacy. Stella Hibdon is wife, mother, grandmother, and Chief Operations Officer for the Hibdon family franchise. And it's no easy row to hoe when you own and operate a tackle shop. Plan the hectic day-to-day logistics of 2 legendary tournament anglers, and all the while being on the road 9 months of the year. But for Stella, this is the life she loves.
When we get up in the morning, generally, as a rule, it's 4 o'clock. I'll get up, I'll fix the boys' breakfast. Then Lorraine and I will go out, we'll untarp the boats while they're eating. Some days I've got a boat that's broke that I gotta get fixed. I've gotta spend time with the service crew. There's very few days that we don't have something that we're on the road for. That elusive bait that might catch them better the next day. Yes, I've drove up to 100 miles to find it. All right, sweetie, I'll get it for you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Stella's hard work and dedication certainly doesn't go unnoticed.
And what she accomplishes in a day is amazing.
You know, she's like everybody at the grandma at the campground, actually, now.
She gets the good out of it, you know, no matter what it is, and that keeps us upbeat.
Stella Hibdon, what can I say?
It's meant everything having Stella, you know. And, my gosh, I'd be as lost as a duck, that's for sure, you know, if she wasn't there.
And Chris, what a great story of family tradition and dedication to the sport.
Absolutely. And let's get back to Dion. He and the other pros are doing well, but the co-anglers are enjoying this fishery as much as the pros.
This is a fantastic place for an event, and what an experience to fish with the greatest professionals in the world. Learning to catch bass under this kind of pressure often creates a fast track for co-anglers to gain experience and make the move to the professional side. And as the 3rd day winds down, Lake of the Ozarks continues to kick out impressive catches. The pros continue to bring monster bags and magnum bass to the scales. And the co-angler catches are nothing to sneeze at either. Big bass are coming from the back of the boat. And after 3 days, everything comes down to this. Jim Short and Bud Strader head-to-head for their shot at the $20,000 co-angler title.
12 pounds, 13 ounces. Your champion is Bud Strader of Rockwood, Tennessee.
And Bud Strader does it. Another great family story. Since Bud travels and fishes with his 2 sons who both fish the professional side of the Walmart FLW Series.
This is your tournament leader, 51 pounds and 15 ounces, Dion. We will see you tomorrow.
An unbelievable field. The leader, Dion Hibdon, holding the pole position going into the final day. But look at the list of names in this top 10 field. Kellogg's Pro Clark Wendlandt, Chevy Pro Larry Nixon, Kellogg's Pro Dave Lefebvre, Ranger Pro Steve Kennedy, and of course, Guido and Dion Hibdon, making their first top 10 appearance together as father and son.
We've never made a top 10 together.
And to do it here on Lake the Ozarks, even better.
But it means a lot to fish with Dion.
Even thinking I'm going to beat him, you know, that's a cool deal, you know.
The final day of competition with big bucks on the line. It unfolds when FLW Outdoors returns.
Been whittled from 200 down to 10, and Chris, I can't remember a time where I have seen such big-time names in a top 10, and it's headed by Dion and Guido Hibdon.
Dion Hibdon's caught over 51 pounds of Lake Ozark bass the first 3 days of competition. Both he and Guido making the top 10 cut. That's a real neat deal, Keith. I got up with them on Tuesday night at the registration. Both of them very confident coming into this event that they can catch some serious stringers of bass.
I'd dearly love to see Dion win it. And in the same breath, he would dearly love to see old Dad win it, that's for sure. There ain't anybody out here pulling for Guido any more than what Dion is, so that's for certain.
And let's get right back to the action as we visit with Ozark Trail Pro Andy Morgan. Morgan in 5th place after day 3 is fishing within sight of the takeoff zone and immediately is hooked up.
I've caught them this week. I've caught them buzz baiting, I've caught them drop shotting, I've caught them shaky heading, and I've caught them flipping. Just try a little bit here, a little bit there, maybe an hour on this technique, an hour on the other technique, 20 minutes on this technique, just kind of bounce around. You get a bite or two, key in on it, and make the day of it. Ah, you little bitty one. Spot.
Morgan's early presentation of putting a limit in the box has worked well. Now he has the rest of the day to set aside for hog hunting.
And now over to Chevy Pro Larry Nixon, fishing only a couple of short miles from the takeoff zone. And it's no surprise that this accomplished veteran with over $2 million in career earnings is on good fish early on.
Man, gun, don't do that, baby. That's a good fish there. Good fish.
And these fish are the monsters everyone is looking for. So what is Nixon's big fish strategy?
Find me about 3 or 4 more of them.
I'm keying on 25 to 35. That's what I'm keying on. So the main thing is keeping my boat in 50 to 60 foot and throwing my bait into about 25 foot of water and find the right little sweet spot.
And Nixon is going to be in the big money sweet spot if this pace continues.
3 more to go.
Over now to Yamaha Pro Marty Sisk, who is making his second top 10 appearance on the Walmart FLW Series in this, his rookie year. Marty made a top 10 at Lake Lanier earlier this season, and he is fishing a completely different pattern than the rest of the field.
He is keying on emerging vegetation. This unique pattern brought him here, but the big question is, will it hold?
There are still fish in this area, but not the size that brought him to the top 10.
It seems like a lot of these bigger fish just moved out.
Now, believe it or not, Kellogg's Pro Dave Lefebvre opens on a spot he has never fished.
His big bite has been turning on late in the day, so he is doing some searching early, checking out some new water close to home, waiting for the fog to lift before he hits his hot spots.
This first spot has been a search and destroy mission for Lefebvre.
With over $500,000 in earnings, you can bet Lefebvre is experimenting with all aspects of his angling approach, fine-tuning all the details and adjusting to fish in flux.
You know, this is one of the best jig lakes in the country, and I went from swimming it kind of fast and popping it, trying to get a reaction bite in practice. You know, they were coming out of the brush and coming out from under the docks and eating it, to during the tournament now, I'm, you know, letting it sit there. I went to a lighter jig that falls slower and just milking it, you know, just trying to get them interested in it, making them look at it. That's number 5 right there. Probably about 11 or 12 pounds. Now, Dion don't have one yet. We're ahead of him.
Now to day 3 leader Dion Hibdon, who is still waiting for his first bite.
Ouch, a dump fish right off the bat. He can't afford to be doing that in his position.
Wow, Chris, a swing and a miss, and this is not the kind of luck Dion needs to start out his day.
That looks like a good one. Oh, and yet another lost fish. Is the home water jinx finally setting in? It's going to take a major switch in luck for Dion to seal the deal.
The day is still young. Anything can happen. But those with an early advantage are certainly threatening the lead.
Yeah.
Hang on tight. More FLW Outdoors action next. FLW Outdoors and the final day of competition. Before we left, we saw our day 3 leader, Dion Hibdon, getting off to a rough start. And you can bet he's banking on the afternoon bites to be big.
Let's catch up to Dion's father, Evinrude pro Guido Hibdon.
Guido has over 30 years of experience on Lake of the Ozarks, and he is targeting similar areas as Dion. But unfortunately, he is off to a slow start as well.
He is also getting bites, but the fish are running quite a bit smaller than they have the last 3 days. He must be thinking, is this a timing issue, or have the big fish moved? This is always a tough call, so Guido must rely on his confidence and his vast knowledge of Lake of the Ozarks in order to pull this one out.
Guido Hibdon, limited bass, 4.5 pounds. It's not funny.
Ranger pro Steve Kennedy was in second after day 3, and if anyone has a shot at charging to the top, Steve would be the man. Immediately, Steve is hooked up with a decent spot.
It's interesting to note that Kennedy and the Hibdons are holding their boats in about 60 feet of water. But for Kennedy, it is just a short cast from shore where he is fishing the bluff banks. And he's concentrating on the 8 to 18 foot depths, whereas the Hibdons, who are also holding their boats in 60 to 70 feet, are focusing on extended points in the 18 to 30 foot plus depth range.
And Kennedy is on his way to an early morning limit, but again, he is on the smaller fish as well. The man who looks like he is really making a charge to the top is Chevy pro Larry Nixon.
And Nixon is still hammering them this morning. It's interesting that the Hibdons, Kennedy, and Nixon are all jigging. Kennedy shallow and the Hibdons deep. But Nixon is scouring all the options and letting the fish tell him what depth they prefer. And it's paying off.
Look at that spot. That's a Kentucky, boy, and I mean a chunk.
Over now to Yamaha pro Matt Herron. This is the first we've seen of him this morning. He's one of the hottest sticks out there right now. Matt made a top 10 at the last Walmart FLW Series event at Old Hickory.
And he has a real hog here.
This is for you, Art.
And Herron's hooked up with another monster.
And he is doing something totally different. He is cranking shallow wood, while most of the field is on another program. Herron is finding big fish in the backs of the coves on timber. If he weighs a sack full of these bad boys, the rest of the field had better look out.
Unbelievable. He just got his net stuck on a crankbait.
Whoa, there is nothing more nerve-wracking than trying to lip a giant that is barely hooked on a crank.
Got hung up in a net.
So with so many fish in so many spots, the question remains, will the hometown favorites find victory on their home water? Or will they experience the notorious hometown jinx? We'll find out when FLW Outdoors comes back. Welcome back to Lake of the Ozarks. Time is getting tight, and $100,000 is on the line. One of the contenders you can never count out is Kellogg's pro Clark Wendland, and he has been a force to be reckoned with after making the cut in 3 consecutive Walmart FLW Series events this season.
Clark is up to his usual power fishing strategy. He's trying to make more casts in a day than anyone else and ultimately catch more fish.
I've really only thrown 2 baits all week. I've thrown a crankbait and a spinnerbait, and I'm covering water. And that's what I really like to do. I like to fish fast and power fish. The great thing about this lake is it's so big. It's huge, got a lot of fish in it. So anyway, it makes it nice for running a kind of a fast, aggressive fish pattern. That's what we need.
Clark's power fishing is definitely working for contacting fish, but the whole deal with this tournament is not just catching fish, but catching the right fish.
That was a rough limit there now. That worked pretty hard for that. Good gracious.
Let's now head over to Ozark Trail Pro Andy Morgan. He is hooked up again. His early morning bite in the shallow water was fast and furious. He made the decision to fish shallow based on his observations from day 3.
This afternoon, about 12:30, I said, well, I'm going to try some of this shallow stuff again, you know, 1.5 foot, 2 foot of water, see if some of these fish are maybe up window painting in the sun. They'll come up on these frontal days and actually lay up in the sun, maybe at the edge of a dock or a brush pile or whatever, but they'll lay out in the sun on the edge of the shade line where they can, you know, duck in if they, you know, they need some cover.
The brush pile has him in a pinch, and salvaging this fish could be worth thousands.
And now back to our day 3 leader, Ranger Pro Dion Hibdon.
One of the positives and negatives of fishing your home water is that you have so many spots to fish.
Instead of just trying to beat a dead horse and go back to some of those same spots, just go fish, you know, go fish points that you know hold fish. And we got the right bait going in there, you know, bait that they're biting a little bit. And that could be good.
And Dion is picking up the momentum. He just put a big fish in the boat, and he's hooked up with another keeper. Let's head now to Dion's father, Ranger Pro Dion Hibdon, to see if he can show his son how it's done.
Lots of small spotted bass, not what he is looking for. Even though he is on a run of small fish, you can never count Dion Hibdon out on this body of water.
Now that's a heck of a way to open up a live one. Dion would be laughing his rear end off.
Finally, he's hooked up with the first nice fish of the day. And Guido has a history on Lake of the Ozarks of catching a giant limit in a short time.
So, you can never count Guido out.
Well, that's a little more like it. Glad to see the old man had one in him anyway. Don't eat them little Kentuckies, you devil.
Is this fish a sign of things to come? We'll find out when FLW Outdoors comes back. Back to FLW Outdoors in the final day of the 4th stop on the Walmart FLW Series here on Lake of the Ozarks. Let's look at Steve Kennedy, who was in 2nd place going into day 4. He was getting a few fish this morning, but needs some upgrades to improve his position.
4. Whoa. Stay in the boat.
Now let's get back to Evinrude Pro Dion Hibdon, where things are revving up.
With a slower morning, Dion has now fine-tuned his milk run, concentrating on the absolute best spot-on-the-spot places he's got.
But what I'm feeling with my jig is just basically a high spot in the rocks, like a taller rock than the rest of the surroundings. And that seems to be the key, because you can fish all over one of those points, and until your jig comes up a little bit and over one of them taller rocks, you don't get many bites. And normally once you find that, you can cast in that area, and that's where they're always at. There's a sweet spot on every place. Every spot I've got out there, you know, that I've fished in the last few days, there's gonna be one little spot where they're always at. Woo.
And back over to Guido now. No one has more experience on Lake of the Ozarks than Guido. But early in the day, things were not going as planned. But no doubt, things are picking up.
And in the net, off of the jig.
That is a major league upgrade for Guido, but he still has a couple small Kentuckies in the box.
If you win a Kentucky in your bag of fish, you're beat. That's a guaranteed deal. Because there's somebody out there that's going to catch some big old largemouth.
One of the pros that has a good bag of largemouth is Larry Nixon. He had an early run of big fish, and the action is still fast, but the size is not there.
It's a good thing Larry kicked the day off to a big start with some big fish early in the game.
Good fish. Find me about 3 or 4 more of them.
Confidence is everything in bass fishing, because if you get that feeling you're not going to catch anything, you won't catch anything. You just gotta have faith in what you're doing. Stay with it. The hard part's realizing when fishing slows down that you just got to really be more precise, and you're fishing for less bites.
Here now, Kellogg's pro Clark Wendlandt is making a late charge, upgrading as fast as he can, trying to beat the clock.
Yes. Clark Wendlandt approaches every tournament with his famed power fishing tactic. It is possible that no one in the game makes more casts in a day than Clark Wendlandt. He is an absolute machine, using aggressive presentations for aggressive fish. Is Clark's power fishing approach a winning tactic? Well, he's made 3 of the 4 top 10 cuts in the Walmart FLW Series this year, made 40 top 10s overall, won 3, made $1.5 million in earnings, and holds an impressive 2 Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year titles. Yeah, I'd have to say his power approach is a proven winner.
Oh, come on, stay hooked. Oh, my word. Good gracious. They are biting. We got to go right now.
Time is in a crunch, and those who have a long run have to get moving.
I'll tell you what, that was unbelievable. Last 30 minutes, I called 3 or 4 times, caught 2 4-pounders, and man, if we could have stayed out longer, I think we could have kept catching them.
When we come back, the final moments. Don't go anywhere. FLW Outdoors returns after this. FLW Outdoors, the final moments of competition here on Lake of the Ozarks. And we are with Chevy Pro Dion Hibdon, who is hooked up big time. It's a rally for Dion in the final moments.
And what a great fish. It is certainly what he needed.
But Chris, we have seen some big bags caught today. Time will tell if Dion has what it takes.
Woo! Son. Woo! My God. That just put a hurt on him there, buddy.
And now over to his father, Ranger Pro Guido Hibdon. He also knows time is ticking down. It is now or never.
It looks like now.
See? I tried every way in the world not to catch fish off, you know it?
What a day on the water. Some incredible action and monster bass. Let's take a look back at some of the highlights and big fish action before we head to the Walmart for the big weigh-in.
This is for you, Art.
And in the net, off of the jig.
Good gracious. They are biting. We got to go.
I felt very confident coming into it today. Like I say, if it ends up playing out, it plays out. If not, I've done my job. You know, I've done the best thing I can do. Little guy.
As the pros are pulling into the Walmart, the National Guard is getting the crowd fired up. Without question, this is one of the most star-studded top tens we have ever seen, and what a battle it's going to be for the $100,000 top prize. First to claim the hot seat is Day 3 leader, Dion Hibdon. And the first to challenge Dion is Yamaha Pro Marty Sips.
2 bass for Marty Sis that weigh 3 pounds, 14 ounces.
Marty came up short today, and with 2 small fish, he doesn't stand a chance. Next is another Yamaha Pro, Matt Herron.
That one will take the lead from the Chevy Pro Dion Hibdon.
And Herron claims the hot seat for now, but he certainly wishes he had a 5-fish limit. Next to the stage is Missouri native and Ranger Pro legend, Dion Hibdon.
Now he's up to 12 pounds, 2 ounces. You're going to need that 5th bass up to 12, 2. Wow! Matt Herron has left the building. There you go, we're ready for it. Great job. Giant Lake of the Ozarks largemouth bass, 5 bass worth 17 pounds even. Your new leader is Dion Hibdon. Wow.
Next to the scale, Kellogg's Pro and FLW Series points leader, Clark Wendlandt.
You will need a 3-pounder to get the job done here. There we go. He will be your new leader, Kellogg's Pro Clark Wendlandt. A 5 bass limit needs to be 16-1. 16 pounds, 15 ounces for Clark Wendlandt. A great tournament, Clark.
Wow, some big bass have come across the stage, and some immense bags are yet to come across the stage. Stay tuned for the winning moment on the Walmart FLW Series from Lake of the Ozarks when we come back. Welcome back to the final battle for the crown and the $100,000 top prize. Clark Wendlandt has just stolen the hot seat from hometown hero, Dion Hibdon. Next to the stage is Ozark Trail Pro, Andy Morgan. Although he went through a lot of bass, he just could not catch the big fish he needed.
10 pounds and 14 ounces, 10-14. Let's take a step over here.
Now it's another Kellogg's Pro, Dave Lefebvre.
4 bass now, and he's up to 8-7. So again, gonna need about a, well, you're gonna need a big one. About an 8-pounder. Pull her out if you've got her. The 5th fish is kicker bass.
And Clark prevails. But now, another legend to the scales, Chevy Pro, Larry Nixon.
And you're up to 12 pounds, 2 ounces. You'll need a 2-pound, 7-ounce fish to take the lead from Clark Wendlandt. If you've got the 5th and final fish, let's see it now, Larry. 5 bass limit for the Chevy Pro, Larry Nixon. Keith, 5 bass. 5 bass. New leader, 17 pounds and 1 ounce, Larry Nixon.
So Nixon takes the lead, and only 2 remain to challenge his position. First, it's Ranger Pro Steve Kennedy, and much to Nixon's relief, he has only a small limit. So it's down to 2 legends and 2 Chevy Pros, Larry Nixon and hometown hero Dion Hibdon, going head-to-head for the top prize of $100,000. Will the early morning misses cost Dion the tournament, or will the afternoon action carry him through? Nixon was hot this morning, but he wasn't doing much upgrading late in the day. So will this big morning bite be enough? It's up to the scale.
Man, gun, don't do that, baby. That's a good fish there. Good fish.
One of the Chevy pros I'm standing next to right now, Dion Hibdon. You are the final obstacle between, well, Larry and yourself winning $100,000. I just said to you a couple of minutes ago, Larry's a little nervous. I mean, he said he was a little nervous up there.
That's good for him. He should be. But first of all, he's made me nervous pretty much my whole life. You know, between him and Dad, it's been a misery for me for the most part.
All right, Dion, well, let's go ahead and get this thing going. Chris Jones, you're going to be sandwiched between two Chevy pros. Ladies and gentlemen, your turning leader coming into that, Dion Hibdon! $100,000 on the line.
There you go, looking for 13 pounds, 7 ounces. You're up to 915. Number 4, just looking for 13.7. Wow, I think they're ready for you. You'll need the 5th one. Dion, you've got 14.5 already. Your 5 bass limit for the Chevy Pro, Dion Hibdon. Let's make it official. Wow. 5 bass limit for Dion Hibdon, worth 19 pounds, 9 ounces. Your champion is Dion Hibdon.
What an extraordinary event, exhibiting the intensity of competition on the grand scale among the strongest competitors in professional fishing, while sharing the heartwarming tale of a father and son dream to live the life of professional anglers in the same top 10 field was realized. Lake of the Ozarks in Osage Beach has proven to be a tremendous venue with the largest winning weight of bass in the history of the Walmart FLW Series. Be sure to join us next week on FLW Outdoors as we travel to Southport, North Carolina for the Walmart FLW Kingfish Tour. For Chris Jones and all